Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to our very special chat. I'm excited to be here this afternoon. It's always a pleasure having a conversation with you. Welcome. I'm calling it a special chat because it's a very special chat. It's a very special conversation. So, my name is Lady Norena, and I'll be taking you through this um, I think it's even beyond special. Hey, it is very close to my heart, and I'm so excited that we're doing it today. So our conversation today will be pretty much talking about the What I Know Now booklet, Advice to My Younger Self. It's our second edition, and for those who are joining us for the very first time, again I'll say welcome, and just tell us where you're watching us from. Whether you're watching us from Lusaka, where you're watching us from. I always say Winilunga, and I always throw in Winilunga. Sorry for another day. So wherever it is you're watching us from, please tell us where you're watching. And again, we'll probably have a chance later on to be able to ask questions. So please make sure that you stay glued and we can have an interactive, session. So thank you so much for joining in. So the What I Know Now booklet is what we're here for. So this is our second edition, and we're calling it Pearls of Wisdom. And how did this begin? It began perhaps maybe a few years ago on Facebook. It started off as just Facebook posts, women giving words to inspire is what we called it. Then one day we got up and said, wait a minute, why don't we, turn it into a booklet? And that's what we did, turn it into a booklet. And we had our first, our inaugural publication, 2020 into 2021, and we featured 52 amazing women, and they were simply giving advice to younger self. And it is very important for us to be able to do that. I call it mentorship in a little book, because all we're doing is listen. These are women at their, vantage point in their lives now, and they were now telling you as a younger woman that this is what I would do, or what I would have done then. But now, because I'm here, I'm now passing it on to you, such that the mistakes that you make along the way in your journey called life are minimal. And that's why this little book is very important. And we thought we should have a conversation around it. And the reason we have this special person with us today is because from the first edition, I think she called me and was like, oh, wow. And then I couldn't wait for her to see the second edition, and I was like, she has to see. And I actually delivered it. I went and delivered it and said, this is out now. I want you to take a look at it, and you'll be able to give us feedback. So before I continue my can I call them opening remarks, whatever it is we're saying. But anyway, before I go, please join me in welcoming our special guest for our What I Know Now booklet review, Lyapa Mbewe. Yay!
Thank you so much for having me here.
I am so excited, Yapa. Thank you so much for making the time. I know you are, you're extremely busy with your finance issues, and well, I'm just very honored that you were able to make time for us this afternoon.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited. I think I'm more excited than you to be.
Are you sure? I'm finding like I'm all over the place. Really, just like I'm just so glad that we're able to have this conversation. So yeah, but before we get to the booklet, because there's quite a bit that we're going to talk about in there. With the financial, and I mean, Lyapa is award-winning financial educator. Where did the love for finance begin?
Okay, so apart from the fact that I've always been like a numbers girl, quote unquote, yes. So when I went into uni, or when I started studying, I went into accounting because, then that's the closest you could get to numbers. So in my second semester in school, I got offered a job in retail management, in retail management. And it was fantastic. Like, where you climb the ladder as a young person and all that. And by the time I was completing, I was manager at the time. I was a branch manager. But it was good, and it was very honoring at the time. I think I was 20 at the time. I was excited. But the thing is, you get to a point where you like reach the ceiling.
Like a ceiling.
Yes, in the organization. The next person, the next position after that was area manager, and it was only one area manager. And she was young, and she was having the time of her life. And we had like 15 branch managers. I'm like, none of us are going anywhere here, really. So then I decided that I think it was time for me to jump into finance. I didn't really know which part of finance I was going into, but because I love numbers. So I had a chat with a friend's aunt who was telling me about actuarial science, and she was telling me, saying, because you love numbers, I think you might need to get into something statistics related. And the actualization of statistics mostly is involved in insurance and financial advisory, because then you're like foretelling numbers and all that. So I'm like, I think I want to do this. Then she told me, saying, get into financial advisory. If you can't get into insurance, but insurance, it has to be like the back end job. Yes, because that's where they do their simulations. But get into something that will get you like the end user view. So that's where financial advisory came in, and I was honored and blessed enough to get into offshore financial advisory. And from there, where the financial literacy bit came from is I was working in this very prestigious institution where we used to deal with high net individuals. But it was very disheartening that even when you're having a conversation and you're trying to advise someone on wealth management and they have this really healthy paycheck, they don't know what to do with their money, they're broke. Then it's almost like a light bulb. I'm like, if someone who I have to like call and get a meeting with, and they are MD or CEO, head of department or business owner, and they're taking home maybe sometimes even nothing less than 100K, and they're asking you what to do. What about the low to medium income earner who is thinking they'll learn how to manage their money when they start earning
the big money?
Yes. Then it hit me that income is not equivalent to wealth. Then it's almost like a mentality shift of some sort. And it took me back to how even our helpers in the home, some of them take home 600 kwacha, and maybe they have 600, maybe 1,000, 1,500, a combined household income of maybe 2,500 with their partners. But these people are doing tremendous things. They rent the house they're living in. They have 3 kids, but at the same time, some of them you'll find that they even built houses. Yes. So if it's not an income problem, then it's a mentality problem, because I've seen both sides of the spectrum. So for me is, let's just change our mindset. Then the financial literacy bit came about, and now the firm, which is financial advisory, so that we can just target our financial advisory firm is both HNI and medium income earners, so that, look, we'll cater for the big guns, of course, but we'll also cater for the little guy at the bottom, so that everyone now can play in the same playing field.
Could it be then the reason you did that financial literacy session for the young kids? How important is that for them to start young?
Yes. So for us, we're talking about the income brackets, but then if it's a mentality or a mindset shift, then we have to start right at the foundation. So hence Money Acumen Learn Kids that we did last month. And this was targeting between 8 and 16-year-olds, and it was brilliant.
I know.
It was brilliant, because then we had like young people that they know so much. And believe it or not, they're very entrepreneurial in thinking. So they do know how to make money. Because when the conversations we're having, they're like, no, when I want money, I tell my dad ABCD, I tell my mom ABCD. So they actually do know how to earn. But that's also a breach that we have in our society. We are taught to earn in order to spend, but no one is telling us how to manage.
And how to invest.
Which is the management bit. So even the children know how to earn and how to spend. They just don't know the management bit. So everyone, college, working class, we were all taught you need to get a job so that you can earn a certain amount of money so that you can cater for your expenses.
That's right.
But no one is telling you to cater for your future or what happens after retirement. All those things. No one is telling you to live a life of abundance and not just living a life of, I earn 5,000, I need to live in a house for 2,000 so that I can afford my transport, so I can afford my food. No one is telling you, can you keep aside a little bit for yourself so you can grow, so that you can stop living in this bracket.
Wonderful. I mean, it is something that we've seen in our society, the issue of money management, and also I'll tell you what, I was first exposed to real financial conversations when I started working for a financial institution, and I entered in it was investment services.
Yes.
So that's when I got to understand much more in terms of how you can manage money, how you can fill up management, and all those conversations. And also one thing that in your financial education, I'd like to believe that you also talk about the fact that there'll be times when there could be a downfall.
Of course.
Do you have conversations like that? Yeah.
That's why we cater for emergency funds.
Mm-hmm.
Like life does happen. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And this is why having these pots of funds and also a properly well-diversified portfolio. So when we talk about portfolio, people are thinking it's millions and millions of kwacha. No, it's like a properly set money management system. So you have, of course, your mere savings, which is your wealth creation pot, but you also need to have pots of education fund for your children. You have children, they're bound to go off to college at some point. You need to start planning prior for that. You're going to retire at some point. That pot needs to be prepared for upfront. The emergencies that will come, you need an emergency fund for it. We now have things like funeral cover. You know, you can actually plan for it so that you don't have to draw from your savings. The problem with not having like a properly set outline of a money management system is when something happens, you're bound to either draw from your savings or borrow. It's just one of the two.
But you know, when I think about it, it is, yes, it could also be, the mentality side of it, granted, but also thinking that the only time I can plan, maybe have life insurance, funeral cover, is when I have to have millions. And I think what needs to happen is, and perhaps a deliberate conversations from individuals like you and your firm, but also even just the insurance companies, to be able to say that, listen, you could actually, with 2 kwacha, maybe 10 kwacha, depending on what it is that you're looking at, you could still put money aside for, and so it's really a mindset shift.
And I think it's a financial literacy, it's educating, and a lot of advocacy that needs to happen. Because if you actually ask me, the products are there.
Yes.
Now more than ever. If you've seen telecom companies now are trying to spread the word also by offering these services that they don't even cater for 8 and 9s really. They're actually catering for the low income earners. 10 kwacha, 15 kwacha, insurance for your phones for 30 kwacha, all those things. Because if your phone dies today, you have to budget for 5,000 kwacha that you didn't have.
That's
but
right.
If you've got insurance for your phone, all you're going to do is claim insurance. So it's almost like we need to go back.
No, we have to go back to the
basics. To the basics.
To the basics.
Yes. But it's also interest. Because what we've encountered from a few, I won't say a lot because I think I've had like a lot of great feedback. There are few people that are already adamant. They've already made up their minds. So even when you talk about investments, first thing they'll say is, don't talk about investment when I can barely afford, like I have a hand to mouth. It's a reality, but I'm trying to have this conversation so that we can actually come up with a plan. There's a gentleman who says, I've forgotten his name, a philosopher that says, it's either you make money or you make excuses, but you can't make both. So when I'm trying to have a conversation with you, I need you to have an open mind. This is your situation, it's your reality, but how can we look at a different avenue?
I always think that perhaps maybe that reality might not be forever. So there'll come a time when you'll probably be exposed to a bit more. Maybe you're going to start earning a little bit more. You might have, something can happen, because at some point, if you're on a certain journey, somehow something is going to open up. And it's good to have those conversations, because then you will know how can I manage this money that I'm.
That's true to actually keep the knowledge or the wisdom for later.
Yes.
But I'll tell you that when it comes to finances, the most key is discipline. And discipline can only start when the Bible tells you, he who is faithful in little will be faithful in much. So if you are consistent, and I'll tell you this, if you're consistent with 100 kwacha, and I usually tell my clients this, if you can consistently, 100 kwacha, your airtime money, your airtime money, is if you can consistently put aside 100 kwacha without anyone reminding you in just a savings account. Just do that for 6 months. If you can do that, and come back and we can talk about 1,000 or 5,000 per month. Because when I tell someone put aside 500 kwacha per month in an investment account, they're doing the math and saying it's only 6,000 kwacha, and if the investment account is giving me X interest, that's very little money. But that's 6,000 you don't have.
You don't have, yes, that's right, yeah.
Yes, but it's yes. But even if I tell them 500, they're saying it's already little, but try it. They won't do it. It's hard. 500 kwacha a month is hard.
Yeah.
It's not as simple as, what is 500 kwacha? Yes, you have it, but put it aside.
Put it aside.
Then let's have this conversation.
What we
Yes.
did, and we're going to move this quickly.
Mhm.
What we did actually for the Kupes Young Women's Network, we've been doing, I think it should be the 4th year, we have what we call a Christmas gift challenge. You've seen that.
Yes.
And what we do is just ask the girls to every single day put away something, whether it's a 2 kwacha, a 5 kwacha, a 10 kwacha. The amount is really up to you. But if you want, you can be consistent with your 10 kwachas. Then we all open our gift boxes at the end of at Christmas or 24th of December. It's actually exciting when the girls are opening. Others have been able to buy plots out of it.
Yes.
I remember one girl, she raised about 10,000 kwacha from her gift challenge. She managed to get herself a plot, and so others they hooked up, and I can't wait to see what this Christmas will be all about. So yeah, but now let's get back to. I'll get. I like listening to you when you're talking about finances. So we'll go on. So you said something a little earlier that you are really fond of this little book, and you say it's passing on knowledge that they've learned over the years and how to navigate life amidst the pressures. And you said, because I, as Lyapa, do not know it all or even half of it, I always find it intriguing when someone takes time to teach about hurdles I might encounter or show me some form of direction. We don't have to repeat certain mistakes if only we choose to listen. Tell me about that, then we can go to the book.
Okay.
If only we choose to listen.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't even know how to put this. I think on like a very personal, because I would love this to be as raw as possible. I'm relatively not always raw in the conversation because I'm talking about finances. But on a personal level, I appreciate, and for me this is something I'm fond of, is every time someone, even if it's someone younger, even if it's someone, I learned this at a very tender age, even if it's someone younger, if they're teaching you something you don't know, listen. You don't know. And that's the truth of the matter. You don't know. So never look down on anyone. If it's a lady by the street, you're buying your vegetables, and they just give you even a snippet of wisdom, you don't know. And I usually find these little flashes of something that someone told me, even if it's a friend. And I learned this, maybe because I'm Pentecostal, and they tell you even when someone is telling you like a word of wisdom, listen. No matter how young they are. So God used that person to tell you something. So I've taken it throughout, and I usually find these little flashes of a tailor, you know, someone, or a maid's friend who was telling me something, you know, just anything really, any snippet of wisdom. I'm like, that makes a lot of sense. They might not even realize that they're offering you that wisdom, but it makes a lot of sense. And for me, I carry it. I'm like, you know what, I didn't know that. That makes sense. I'll take it. And I listen. And I think one of my close friends tells me, like, Lyapa, I love the fact that you listen. Even if they're just telling me, saying, you know, there's something that you said. If you tweak it this way, do you know it will work? I'm like, it makes sense. And she'll say I'm implementing. She's like, you listen. I'm like, I listen. But why were you telling me if I shouldn't? And
no, you know why? It's because most of us practice what, and these are competitions I have, is we practice either pretending listening.
Yes,
we've
like, mastered the art.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay, all right.
Yes.
You know, I don't even know, but I will actually be agreeing with you. And when you ask me, even 5-10 minutes later, I will have no clue what you have said. So maybe, yes, you do listen, Yap, and you really pay attention, and that's what I love about you.
I was telling him, like, I have 5 notebooks because I love to write. I love to take in knowledge. I love to write like tiny little bit snippets of highlights of big things, and it's those silver linings. For me, I'm like, yes, this is like ding ding ding. That was for me, and I run with it, and I'll implement it almost immediately, or when it's need for it, I'll just do it, and then you'll find like, yes, I told you that. I'm like, yes, I listened. But you told me. Yes.
Wonderful.
Yes.
So I guess that is what we have. So before we go to the actual one that we're talking about today, the very first one.
Yes.
The very first one. Would you remember which one was your favorite in here?
Mlenga Kapwepwe. I remember it was one Mlenga Kapwepwe and Lelemba.
Ah, okay.
Can
we assume?
No. And let me read it out.
In fact, it had nothing to do with finance, actually.
No. Lelemba was talking about, okay, so if you actually see, I love Lelemba because she's an angel investor. So she's in finance, but she was talking about character and how it has nothing to do with your position. She's just there, let me read it out, saying, you're not your title or your role. Being a manager or entrepreneur or accountant or wife or mother or sister does not define who you are.
That's right.
You are defined by your acts and your character, both of which can be continuously improved on in any role you choose to embody at any time. So she's just there, she's like, don't try to fix yourself in these roles. Like, who are you as a person?
As a person, yes.
Who are you in terms of purpose and character? You do that, then everything else falls in place. You being a wife will be effortless. You being a mother, because you're bringing your best self to the table.
You're bringing you.
Yes, and you, fully.
And you're not bringing a title, you're bringing you. Yeah. And so you need to be very careful not to carry your title. You're not your title. You're not your title. And I think that's the biggest mistake most of us will make. We will move around with our titles, showing that here I am, but who are you really? When you strip off that title, what are we going to see?
Exactly.
And those titles go ahead.
They do.
They do.
Some of them don't. So even, I don't know, I'm not a mom yet, but I think I like to believe it from like a wife point of view. It's, there's be the wife, and then there's being Lyapa as a wife. But when you bring like my best version of myself into the character of being, to the office of being a wife, then I feel I can give my best version even to the other person. But if I go in, I might miss the entire, ride and the entire opportunity and how beautiful of an office it is. Why? Because I'm trying to put up like a checklist.
Like a checklist, yes.
Have I cooked? Yes. Have I cleaned? Yes. And it becomes frustrating.
And very overbearing.
And overwhelming and overbearing. But if I go in, I'm like, what's the best version of Lyapa? I will cook the Lyapa way. I will clean the Lyapa way. I will make the home the Lyapa way. I'll have the conversation the Lyapa way, instead of having the conversation as the wife way.
As the wife. Because the wife, if you say the wife, and the world will give you the definition of the wife, and how the wife should operate, how the wife should behave, how the wife. But I always say every household has its own rhythm.
Yes.
What will work in flat number 2 might not work in flat number 4. Worse of might not even work in yours. So, like you said, rightfully put in the best version of you. You talked about
number, and I remember. It's what, 5, 6?
5.
5. It's, if not you, then who?
Then who?
For me, I took this and I'm like, then it's me. It's me, and I will choose to be me in every room. For me, when I looked at this.
Oh wow!
And I'm there, like every single room I walk into, I'm privileged. Look at me, I'm sitting here with you. Like I'm sitting here with a powerhouse. And I walk into rooms with beautiful powerhouses. But I'm there, I'm like, but I want me every single time. Like I want to pick me. And because of just these 5 letters, then I have to continuously improve me. Because if I can't be you, then it's me. Then I have to be the best version of me, or else I can't be anybody else.
That's right.
Yes, and for me, that's why these 2 are the best. And I think from this book, what stood out for me are the ones that were talking more of character. Because the time that this book came out, it was talking more. My life was headed more of the character formation. Because I talk money, I talk this and whatnot, but then I was trying so hard, saying, look, you talk about this, but then who are you? You talk about this, but then who are you? And that's what I'll call it the limelight. The limelight has a way of defining you for you. But then I've tried so hard, at least on a personal level, I've tried so hard not to let it define me and to constantly like take 2 steps back, like, who are you? Lyapa? Okay, now let's show up as Lyapa. Let's show up as Lyapa. So that we're not showing up about what the limelight is slowly trying to characterize.
And also the importance of, just to add on a little bit, the importance of showing up as you is that it's easy.
It's easy, yes.
It's easy to show up as you because it's easy to carry it.
Yes.
And because it is you, there will never be a moment where you'll be like, oh yeah, this is not, then I have to switch up.
Yes.
It gets exhausting if you want to be constantly like somebody else. It becomes extremely exhausting. I always say, just give us the authentic you. Because authentic you, like you said, will carry you whether you're in the office, whether you're in mother mode, whether you're in wife mode, whether you are in the corner office somewhere, the authentic you will always come out. And I just pray.
It's effortless.
Yeah, it's effortless. Like There'll be nothing
it's very
to
effortless. Yes.
So did you want to pick somebody else? No, I think we're gonna go to this. Let's go to this one.
Okay. I know there are a few other gems. Let me see if I remember. I know I love Nzinga because she was talking about make your team happy. They'll do the work for you. I think everyone needs to learn that. Yeah. Let me see. Janice, yes. I remember this one.
You remember? I remember
Yes,
that one. Yes, you
yes,
did talk
yes,
about it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So Janice said there is no single path that you have to experience life in, not one. Yes, you don't have to become the world's definition of successful or in a certain time frame. You can start late, start early, or start all over, and that's okay. Everything will work out exactly how and when it's supposed to. Choose yourself, your own path. Trust your timing. You see, for me, it was just the character formation. I'm like, yes, like I can reset, that's fine. I can stop, that's also okay. I can start all over again, and that's fine. Like set your own timeline.
Set your own timeline. Like you don't have to work towards it. So the first edition, just in case somebody is asking, we've actually got an e-version of this one. So so I think today we'll upload it again on our.
Yes,
on
and I
our,
remember I took like a lot of snapshots of my favorite, and I put them up.
You put them up on, so this one is actually it's online and we'll be able to process. If you're looking for this one, just get in touch with Kupes and they'll be able to send you the e-version of this one. Brilliant. I don't know, I'm telling you. So when we move to our current one, what I know now, advice, pearls of wisdom, we decided to sort of like theme it this year. And at this point, I'd just like to take this opportunity to say thank you to our partners, especially FNB Zambia. And it came at the right time, I'll tell you, Lyapa, because they just launched the women product called HA, helping every woman rise. And I think that just was so befitting to be able to, for them to do what they've done. So thank you so much to FNB and also to Comville and Kai Digital, who did a tremendous job.
Oh no, this is
like just being able to design.
Beautiful,
So thank you so much. Thank you so much, FNB and team, and everybody who has been instrumental to ensure that this is actually up and running. So, Lyapa, when you saw this, what came to your mind? Like just even the cover page?
The pearls of wisdom. I think for me, I was trying to break it down because for me, I like to go behind the words. So I'm like, pearls. Why did they pick pearls? Why did they pick? I know the wisdom bit because the book is full of wisdom, but then the pearls. Is it because it's timeless? Is it because it's beautiful to look at? What was the meaning? And for me, I just wanted the unveiling. So I had my own version. I'm like, it's probably timeless wisdom. It's probably because it's beautiful and whatnot, but why was it? And I think maybe that's what you should be telling me.
So if you go back in here,
the forward,
I
read it, but I want to hear it from you.
It was the pearls of wisdom, like you're talking about pearls of wisdom, the timeless information that you will get, that can never be taken away from you. And I look at you young women today, and young women and girls today, you're so privileged. You are absolutely privileged with the information that you are getting. But some of them, they're not listening. And some of them are not putting it to good use. And I was just like, oh yeah, she's spoken. No, but have you listened? I could speak, but have you listened? And so pearls of wisdom for us is, like you say, the timeless part, but also in Bemba, the one that you've seen here. But the Sungom Koshu Bulungu Tawa. Yes, Sungom Koshu, meaning look after your life. So like the neck is really very important. If you don't, it houses, in fact, this neck houses this. And this is your mind. These are your eyes. These are your ears, your mouth. These are very cardinal for anyone. Your eyes, your ears, and your mouth, and here. Because everything starts here. Then it comes out. Because you hear, you're trying to do all these things. So, Sungwech, so that you can help look after this thing that's here.
That's powerful. That's powerful.
Look after your life. Everything else will be easy. Just look after your life. And I thought, because I would sit, and I'm sure my mother would be like, here we go. I talk about my grandmother a lot. My grandmother would say a lot of things. I mean, she was hilarious. I loved my grandmother. She'd do crazy things. I loved her to, I would sit with her and I would listen. And I would listen. And that is my prayer. So now that you might not be able to meet all these women, but you're actually sitting with them.
in this very
In this, you
little
will sit
powerful
in your,
book.
you will
Yes.
sit in your room and you will listen.
Mm.
And what is important is for you to be able to apply.
Yes.
So there's so much information that is there. We never had this sort of information, even just this guidance. I can assure you, wherever you go, you'll be able to
Yes.
find yourself. We never had this sort of
Mhm.
information. So we're saying we're now passing it on to you.
Mhm.
But then again, with so much information that is available, you will receive it, but also even the source of that information is very critical.
Yes.
And that is our prayer for this little
the
book.
source.
The
I think
source
so.
of
Like
that.
underline source.
The source of
Yes.
information.
Mm.
So I think I said this. I think last week, I was on RCV. I was saying for anybody who's intentional about their growth,
Mhm.
this is really cardinal.
Yes.
But also even where to find that growth is also very cardinal.
Mm.
So you can be intentional about growing, but where do you find that growth?
Mhm.
You need to
And
go
who
into
is
the right
speaking?
source and who is speaking into your life.
Mm.
So these women, I think, have done just that.
Powerful.
Yeah. So hence pearls of
Yes.
wisdom.
Okay.
So your
we dive
favorite.
right into it.
Yes,
My
dive into
favorite.
it. Your favorites.
How many are they? 12. I think 15.
Oh, okay.
And this, I think I've told you this time and again. This is the most difficult task for me.
Mhm.
Every time you ask me to narrow it down, like I can't, because each one of them, and I think I've told you this time and again. Like I don't. For me, it's a study book. I can never sit down. Not even in 1 week can I ever sit down. If I sit down in a week, I'm probably, I don't know, I'm quite meditating on 3 of them and trying to apply them. So even just narrowing it down to 15, I think we've been having this conversation for over 4 weeks. And it's the hardest thing I've ever had to do.
You said something very interesting. Was it yesterday or the other day? And you said for you looked at it as, you gave a very interesting scenario. And you actually took it to the Word of God. Remember, you took it about the context and being able to understand and how you internalize it. Yeah.
So most of the times when you're studying, when you're studying the Bible, because the Bible you're not reading, you're trying to understand the context of, when you look at one scripture, it's, yes, you're talking about how blessed I am and how all things work for my good and whatnot, but what is the context behind it working for your good? What is the checklist that you need to follow for certain things to fall through? So most of the times there's that very, very difficult word. I'm very bimbo when it comes to a word. It's exegesis. Yes. I get yes. It's EXERGESIX. Yes, that word. It talks about, don't ever look at scripture and look at it from the face value. Go behind the context. Who wrote it? Was it a prophet who wrote it? What time of his life was he? Was he lamenting? Even when he was celebrating, what happened before the celebrations? What did God see him through, and what was the prerequisite for that particular blessing? So for me, when I look at every single woman, and I actually told you this is very embarrassing, please, all the 52 women in here, please don't feel bad. Don't look at me as, like a stalker, but I kind of did stalk these women. And it just, I'm telling you, some of them I did find, some of them I did not find. But for me, I wanted to get the context. Just even like one snippet of them, I'm like, so that's why this person said this. And maybe I might have gotten it wrong, but for me, it speaks out. Because when this person says, I'll tell you about Wale Tamba Tamba, he says, because you have a big destiny, the world will break you sometimes. Build a good level of resilience within you so that when you're broken, you can still rebuild and live your purpose. She's literally telling you, saying life will happen.
Life will happen.
It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. But when you have resilience, even in financial advising and financial literacy, we always talk about financial resilience. Financial resilience talks about having a backbone. Like just because you started investing doesn't mean the markets won't fall.
Yes.
And when they do fall, a good investor will know that they will rise. And some losses, we call them paper losses. You have paper losses, but it doesn't mean that you've actually lost. Wait, eventually the markets will correct themselves. So for me, when she talks about having a good level of resilience, is get a backbone. You won't always have someone to pat you on the back.
Yeah.
Like you need to get to a point where
you can stand on your own.
And she says within you. She's not talking about any outside context. She's talking about resilience within you, so that when you're broken, you can always still rebuild yourself. And besides, if you build it once, you can build it again.
Yes.
And she goes on to say, and live your purpose. So all this, it's almost like everything that she says is purpose driven. And that's why we're saying when you do know your purpose, it's very easy for you to know that that's the end goal. So even when things don't work around, that's still the end goal. When things are not working around, that's still the end goal.
Wow.
So for me, Wale Tamba Tamba just puts it like, just get a backbone.
Just get within you. I love that, within you.
Yeah.
Okay, which one's next?
Cecilia Zimba. Cecilia spoke to my financial side. Yeah. She was just saying, you know what? Save, invest. She says, do not save after you spend. Make a budget for your savings. And after you have saved, spend what remains in what you need and not what you want. What you want is not always what you need. That's powerful. You need a car. And even though you want a Mercedes-Benz, a Vitz will take you to where you want to get to. Work for your money today, invest it so that tomorrow it will work for you. For me, what stood out is delayed gratification. Women, every individual, we love instant gratification. It's your money, I respect that. But can you wait? Can you wait? Can you not use it as if it's insulting you? Like it's yours. It's yours. And can we also not get into the art of, okay, so I have this money, I need to spend it. Let's practice the art of delayed gratification and also paying yourself first. She talks about not spending, not saving after you spend, but saving before you spend. Remember that little matrix I was telling you about, we're taught to earn?
Just so that you can spend, to be able to just meet your needs.
So it's earn, invest, and spend. Yes. And that's what Cecilia is talking about here. So for me, it's look out for your own future by delayed gratification so that when you spend, this is what the wealthy do. You see that the wealthy don't even know where to spend their money because they practice all this delayed gratification, that the money that they've amassed is so much that they spend on what they love. Yes. They travel to destinations that they love. They don't travel because the neighbor is traveling, and that's what we do. We travel because social media, you want something on Instagram, but they travel to destinations that they love. And you can see it in the quality of their traveling, the quality of their spending. You find someone has bought a beautiful house in the corner of the earth, because they love the quiet and peace. So they're buying things that matter the most. And Cecilia is just talking about invest and don't look, a Mercedes will take you to the same place a Vitz will take you to. Get there and back, but look out for yourself.
Lovely, wonderful.
Yes.
I'm enjoying this. I am enjoying it. Who's up next?
Chimango Chikwanda.
Ah, okay.
Yes. So Chimango talks about creating advocates for life.
Yeah.
Yes. And especially in this time where we are, I don't need anyone.
Yes, me, myself, and yes, I can do it all by myself.
And I can attribute it to the fact that we women are becoming more and more independent. We are growing to places larger than life itself, and we're doing this on our own. So it's very easy for you to own your own success and to feel like you don't need everybody else.
That's right.
But Chimango Chikwande says, do not burn your bridges, especially as you exit an organization. View your exit as a graduation and a vertical or even horizontal bridge to new opportunities. Consider yourself an alumni. Don't leave your allies, patrons, coaches behind. Carry them across the bridge with you. So long as you don't burn that bridge, they can remain your advocates for life.
Ish, a man is valued by what others say of him.
Exactly.
That's what the Bible says. Wow.
Do you know, when I read Chimango Chikwanda's, I remember the time I moved from retail management and I started my road to financial advisory. I was applying for my license, and I remember my boss at the time was saying, we need 2 people to recommend you, 2 recommendations, 2 letters. So I sat down and I'm thinking to myself, and the criteria is very high. You need a person of someone who's of great standing in society. You need someone who sits in a very high position, and this person needs to say something good about you. They can't be your relative.
Yes.
So first, this person needs to know you for them to be able to give you that recommendation. And I remember going back to my former boss. First, after leaving her, I'm like, how can I even go back to my former boss? And she wrote the most beautiful, Margaret, if you're watching this, she wrote the most beautiful recommendation. Up to today, I've met people that are beautiful, But she wrote a beautiful recommendation. I didn't even think I had that impact.
Oh wow. Oh, wow.
And I remember her last line was, "If you're not happy with this person, I'll be happy to hire them back." I'm
serious?
telling you, I have that recommendation. I think I need to frame it in my house somewhere. And she wrote these things about who I was and whilst I was working. And then she's like, "I appreciate this person, and them leaving is a huge gap. And if you're not happy, please bear in mind that I'll be happy to have them back."
Oh wow.
Yes. And for
wow.
me, I'm like, Chimango says it all. She just says it. Like, look,
Advocates for life.
advocates for life. Imagine I can still go back to her. And even when maybe you're passing, and maybe she will have something good to say about me. Yes. So for me, I took it in that context. And right next to her is Chilufia.
Chilufia.
Yes. So Chilufia talks about climb but maintain the seat. When called to the table, sit at the table but also be present. Contribute effectively, knowing that you know your thing. Avoid sitting on the pedestal, because there you stop hearing the truth. Sit at the table and look beyond the horizon. For her, she just keeps saying, sit.
Yes, yes.
Sit. Don't climb on the table. Like, sit. You've been given the table. Maintain your sit. You're called to the table for a reason. But the problem is, when you get to the table, then now you want to get someone and put them in your seat so they can do the work for you whilst you go out and tell people that I'm seated at the table. You're not at the table. Can you sit at the table and do be present and do it effectively? And for me, it now just even takes me back to, I've been given this privilege of starting my own firm, but it's very easy for me to go out, sit with you and say, I have a firm. But who's running the firm?
Who's running the firm? Busy all over the place.
You're busy all over the place. Like, you run the firm, do what people that run firms do.
Yes,
don't go out telling people that you're running a firm.
Oh wow.
Yes, and for me, it spoke to my now.
Okay, lovely. And if you notice on this particular one, you love to write, so which is a good thing. And here for this booklet, I don't know if you could see. Now that I know what will I do,
yes.
How is that helping? I mean, if anybody had to pick up this, how? Because for me, this was really something that we thought, and I'd like to give a big shout out to Nisa for this one, because we did a back and forth.
Yes.
Like, this will really
how would
work.
I do it? Yeah.
Yeah. Now that I know, what will I do?
So this was 2 liters. So I have 2 notebooks. The other ones are in the other one. So I couldn't even write them down. I had to extend them to my notebook. But I love this.
Yes.
I love this. Yes.
This for me is like a call to action.
Yes.
We're saying we just don't want you to read. And the way you've just explained how to read this, anybody sitting there will no longer read this as like a passing, should I say this? It's actually read and then understand. Let's go to the next one.
Okay. So after Chilufia and Chimango, we are going to Pastor Gladys Paswani.
Okay.
So Pastor Gladys says, rearrange your life. For me, that's what stood out. She says, you can move mountains. The mountain before you is a collection of many small issues.
Yeah.
If you deal with each one on its own merit, the weight will lessen every day until the mountain is moved. Separate your issues. So for me, this speaks to a lot. I'll start from the bottom. I don't know why I like to start from the bottom. So it says, separate your issues. Because I don't know, I like to believe the last line is like where the person was trying to drive the point to. So it's telling you about separating your issues. And I was, again, trying to understand Pastor Gladys. So Pastor Gladys is a powerhouse.
Oh,
she
amazing.
is, like, I just even got like a hit rush after I say that. She is a head pastor at church. She's a visionary. Pastor Gladys is a mentor. And when you look at her she's a mentor and she's got mentors under her. And there are people, even when you see at the quality of the mentees of the mentors of the mentor, they all look like mentors. So for me now, if she's at the helm of that all, and she's a visionary for Set Apart International, for me, every time I think about Set Apart, I'm looking at those conferences that we used to go to before COVID happened, where hundreds rather, of girls would come into and they're seated, and this is one woman at the top of it all.
That's right.
So when she tells you to separate your issues, I like to believe she knows exactly what
knows
she's
what
talking
she's-
about. I'm telling you, like she's got all these things going around, and at no point can she let whatever it is that's going. So for her to be able to arrange her life in such a way where she has all these segments of where she's heading, all these segments, she needs to know how to separate not only these, but even the issues of life.
That's
Because
right.
before all this, she's a human being. And
She's Gladys.
Yes, away from Pastor Gladys, visionary, head pastor, mentor, whatnot, she is just a human being. And if me, who is just a mere human being, I struggle with just getting my life in order, how about this person who needs to get her life in order, then get
able to deliver,
then get other people's lives in order? She needs to learn the art of separating your issues. And she's telling you, separate your issues. And then she goes on to say, you can move mountains, which is the first line. The mountain before you is a collection of small issues. So where you're seeing, I can't do this. And most of us do reach that stage. Personally, I have reached those stages. So where you're just like, I can't do this. Like, life is hard and whatnot. But then that's where you now, that's why there was that game where you put all the stones, then you start removing the stone one by one. Whoever it is that shakes is out. So for me is when you have this entire mountain, like, can you start removing them one by one? Okay, where is this coming from? And in finance, we talk about sometimes it's not like it's a lot, especially when it comes to debt. When we're doing debt restructuring, we say, let's start sorting out your debt one by one. From the smallest, if you owe someone 50 kwacha paid right now, and tomorrow if you have a 200 kwacha paid, it looks like a lot, but it's because you've got 15 people that you owe. Can we pay out of 100 kwacha? Get it out. So when you remain with that one person, you remain.
I love that. We need to have a considered debt restructuring.
Yes,
I love that.
yeah. So you're thinking it's 15 people that you're avoiding, but one, you can even clear them off right now. Why are you keeping it? So for me, when she talks about, small issues, it's deal with it one day at a time, one issue at a time. Then now cut down the mountains. And it says, on its own merit, the weight will lessen every day until the mountain is moved.
I love it.
In its own merit. Like if it's a past issue, some of us have parent trauma, some of us it's money issues, some of us it's because a deal did not go through, some of us, and it just comes as if it's this heat wave and it hits you and you're gone. But it might be sometimes a collection of a lot of things. It might look like it's just like a heartbreak. Maybe a man just broke your heart. But maybe it's a lot of things that you just haven't dealt with
over time.
And
wow. Look, oh no, we can't look at the time.
It's going up. Then Inutu. Okay, so we'll run through these others.
Let's Inutu, right.
Inutu's Alumis. She says, courage is like a little spark inside of you that is waiting to be fanned into a flame. How often are we taught to be courageous and yet never taught
how to be courageous?
This is what I believe courage means. It is the ability to do that very thing that you fear the most and know that you will come out on the other side. It is the ability to admit when you don't know something and not be ashamed of it, and then learn about it. Being able to admit your mistakes, to learn from them, and do better next time. Remaining true to yourself. Remember we said authenticity was easy. Regardless of where the tide is flowing, is courage. Where the pinstripe socks and sandals. It's who you are. This one is self-explanatory.
Yeah.
Like, it is who you are.
Just show up as you.
Show up, and courageously so.
Wonderful.
Okay, so Brigadier General Joyce Puta.
This one is
heavy.
This one is.
It's heavy, yes.
Oh, this one is.
Read this out for me, please.
It is not what you have that really matters, but what you do with what you have. Remember, the decisions you make today are likely to impact your future, positively or negatively. Therefore, count the cost of your decision today and choose to live a life of submission to God's perfect will. Count the cost of your decision today.
Interpretation, especially because she puts God's perfect will. I was in Days of Rain at church, And I remember one of my classmates asked, saying, there's this controversy behind God's will and free will. Yeah, like, is it really our will if we're doing God's will and if you've been given free will? Like, if it's my own,
yes,
then why, you know? So for me, when she says God's perfect will, is the way the teacher, the person that was taking us in that particular class, answered is they said, you need to be in God's presence so that He aligns you. Then you'll find that your will be aligned to His will.
Yes.
Yes. So it's almost like God is literally telling you this is what's good for you. So even as you make your decisions, you're making the right decisions for you because He knows you better. So why better yet not go to the one that knows you better? So that as you sit, you listen to the heartbeat of the Father. He's telling you that this is what's good for you. So even when you're making decisions, you feel as if you're making your own decisions, but you're making decisions because of someone that has your best interest at heart.
That's right.
And that's God's perfect will. And this is where now the weight of the cost of your decision, like, do you know what wills and what free will means for you? Because that will cost you.
That's right. Oh wow, very powerful.
Yes.
Very powerful.
So this one, you might actually need to sit down and break it down some more.
Let's move on. This is
It's
good.
beautiful.
This is good.
It is.
Which one's your next one?
Kasali.
Kasali. Okay.
So Kasali says, focus always pays. Be deliberate and careful with your choices, including friends and your life partner. Prioritize your faith, family, and keep investing in you. For me, what stood out is prioritize your faith. Yes. And she doesn't just stop at faith. It says family and keep investing in you. So family and faith, she says prioritize, but in you, she says keep investing in you and focus in. So when you focus and you start prioritizing, because focus and priority usually, like, they're married to each other. So once you focus, it's very easy for you to reprioritize and really work on what's most important to you, especially in this time where we women are very driven and you have so much going on. But just come back and prioritize your life. Then even if I need to be in a conference or I need to step out because something of urgency to me needs me, I know which one. Because I've already prioritized.
You've already prioritized.
Yeah. So there's no way at any point I will create time for what matters. Not because I have it.
Lovely.
Yeah. And Kasali says that she just puts it in beautiful words. So we have Mbewe, Kawanga, and Mbewe.
Mbewe.
Yes. She says humility is the greatest ladder to climb for
lasting godly success.
Wait patiently and humbly for your uplifting. Love yourself well enough to teach another to love you. And seek heavenly applause above all, because your best spectator, Jesus, is also the fairest judge. And Mbewe and Brigadier marry.
That's right.
They just marry. Because she's talking about the greatest spectator. Brigadier talks about free will, God's will. Yes. So if your loudest cheerleader is Jesus, who also is your fairest judge? So if he's going to judge you, why then not go to him to be your biggest cheerleader? So he can take you through. So like when judgment comes, you would have been working with your loudest cheerleader. And most importantly, he says humility is the greatest ladder to climb for lasting godly success. I kind of changed humility to meekness for me. And the reason why I said meekness is not weakness, it's strength under control. So for me, when you know that you've got this strength and you're able to actually control it.
Yeah.
We know we're all powerhouses.
But you being able to power in check.
Yeah, power in check. You know that you've got so much influence over us young ladies. And you know you can steer us in any direction because we will listen.
That's right.
But it's your power to tell us what's right. As it is your power to tell us what's wrong. Because believe it or not, if today Lady Norena were to go up and dress a certain way, believe it or not, most of us would take it as the right way.
That's right.
But because you're very poised and you tell us, saying, look, this is what needs to be done, that is us challenging that power. Today, if you were to do something, would follow. But because you know you hold that power, you know you say, I'm going to do it this way.
That's right.
Or you can destroy us if you want. If you must.
God forbid, touch wood, Papa. Next one. Yes, okay.
So Mukuni.
Mukuni.
I have to say, because I always pick a favorite, Mukuni is my favorite.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Like, there's no taking away. I can't even interpret what she says. She says it. Your identity is rooted in who God says you are. Don't look for validation from people.
This one. Read it. Read that one.
Let me read it again. Let me start. Your identity is rooted in who God says you are. Don't look for validation from people who may not even be sure of who they are themselves.
This one.
You were uniquely crafted by Jehovah, the master artist. So own who and whose you are. God loves you so much that he has placed people in your path who are after your welfare and want to see you shine the brightest. The weapons may fall, but guess what? They won't prosper. I don't know. I really don't know if we can say anything.
There's nothing to say here. All right.
Moving on.
Which one?
So these are the last two. Mbewe. Skaulu, yes. Mbewe is kind of like my second favorite. Yes, everyone else is brilliant. I love them. But Mbewe, and she just brings it home for me. She says you will be tested. That's what I picked out. We do not know our own strength until it is tested.
Yeah.
And whether we like it or not, you will be tested. Always remember, as you are on your path to discovery, that you are stronger and tougher than you know. Not everything will go your way, so be unafraid to fail and be willing to get back up. Your strength will pull you through. Part of discovering that strength is learning how to take care of your mental health. Therefore, do what works best for you so that you may create and preserve an inner sanctum. For me, it's just there saying it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
You will be.
You will be. And when you are, it is coming. And it's just there. She's there telling you, saying you need to be mentally prepared for it because it is coming.
It is coming.
It is.
Yeah.
And for me, what spoke so much about this for me personally is life happens to everyone. And I remember I was having this conversation with Moa. Yeah, and she was telling me, saying, look, people, some people might not have done it in the first quarter. What advice do you have for them? Someone that's feeling, cast out, they're feeling down. I'm like, life happens. Life happens. And it will. It's not a matter of if, it is coming. And people go through stuff, like everyone. I might be thinking I'm going through stuff, but ask your neighbor.
And
then
you'll
be
really
there. You will start praying for your neighbor. You're like, you know what, Jesus? I think I don't need you right now. Yeah. Can you visit this person the more? People are going through things. People go through a lot of heavy things. So when Mbewe says we do not know our own strength until it is tested, she means you have the strength. All you need to do is, harness it and be mentally prepared and just know that you're strong. So that even when it happens, know that it was bound to come.
Wow.
Because it is coming. It is. And I'm sorry to say this, whoever is listening, I'm sorry to say this. If you feel you've encountered the worst, it is coming. So the earlier you start preparing for it, and not preparing for a bad thing, but mentally.
It is, Lyapa, it is, in fact, you say it's not necessarily waiting for bad things to happen. No, not at all. And we're not even asking you to call for things like that. You're sitting waiting for calamity. No. What it simply means is that to understand that is the way life is.
Yes.
That life is full of ups and downs, life is full of tests, life is full of tribulations. And the quicker you realize that, and the quicker you accept that, you will understand that this is but just a test, and I'm going to go through it, and there'll be another one. So it's about going back to what they said, resilience, building that resilience.
Yes.
Because then another one will come. It's testing you, and you're growing stronger.
And you're growing strong. So you're getting a backbone for it.
Yes.
You're getting a backbone. Because because life happens to everyone. The first time, I will hold your hand. Second time, maybe I'll even, lend a shoulder. But the thing is, I also have my own life
And I might not be available.
Not all the time. So I'm also battling with the battles of life. So I might not always be there. So the best thing I can do for you is send you this letter, post-dated check letter from Mbewe, telling you that you will be tested. But remember, she's telling you, saying, always remember that as you are on your own path to discovery, that you are stronger and tougher than you know. That not everything will go your way. So be unafraid to fail. And that's another
willing
thing.
to get back up.
Yes. So she's also telling you, saying, you can't prevent. You've already said it. It's just a matter of time. So don't be afraid of actually failing.
Lovely, lovely.
Yes, yeah.
Okay,
the last
all right,
one.
last one. Okay,
last
we
one.
have to wrap up now.
Yes. The last one is
Nomsa.
Yes.
Nomsa.
I love Nomsa.
Nomsa. Oh, Nomsa is just, gotta love Nomsa.
So Nomsa is just telling you that you're not for everyone. She's just
and when I read this, I was like, it just
jumps
out. Yeah.
Yes.
It's like it just always
It's self-explanatory. Yeah.
Yeah, and that should sit well with you because you understand that
you're not ice cream.
You're not ice cream, so
you're not meant to please everyone.
No, not at all. Yeah.
So she says, as you journey through this life, know that you will definitely get to where you need to be as long as you stick to your authenticity. I think she closes it up for us. Always remember that you are not for everybody, and that should sit well with you.
And the minute, and that's again showing up as you.
Yes.
And understanding that you will not be her. I know you, Lyapa had so many notes here. She would have gone through so many. I think everyone really,
Everyone. For me, everyone is like, I think everyone needs a book. Honestly speaking.
And anyway, I won't let the cat out of the bag of what we're going to do after this.
Yes.
So I pray that people can get to read this, such that when they have certain conversations, they will be able to now really relate with what the women are saying in this booklet. Lyapa, quickly, maybe in a few words, what would you say to young Lyapa?
The younger self. Yes, my God.
Where Lyapa is sitting today, what would she say to her younger self?
To my younger me, I think I'll tell her to take one step at a time. Yes, I'll tell her to take one step at a time, but most importantly, I would allude it to strength. More, that's why Mbewe is my favorite. Because it's like I keep discovering this strength about me, and I keep discovering my own creativity. I keep discovering that I'm literally the best version of myself that ever lived. So for me, I would tell my younger me to keep to her, to say, look, like, keep discovering you, because you are finesse.
Oh wow!
Like, you are the most beautiful thing you will ever come across.
Lovely.
And yes, I don't know. And I think for me, that's why I keep saying I would keep choosing me every single time, every single room. Whether God were to take me back into prior my mother's womb and ask me, saying, you've seen all these beautiful women, pick a life, I think I'll still go ahead and pick mine.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes.
I love it.
Yeah, so I'll just tell her, I'm like, you are the most beautiful thing you'll ever come across. So choose you.
Choose you.
Every time.
Oh, wonderful.
Every single time. In every room, on every table, choose you. In every situation, good or bad, choose you. And you are stronger, and you're the most beautiful thing you will ever come across.
Lovely. Oh, Lyapa. I said it. I knew this was going to be an exciting conversation. And I know we've got very little time. You know how time flies. I would have loved for us to go on and on, but unfortunately we cannot. Lyapa, I'd just like to say thank you so much for joining us this afternoon to go through this. Every single woman in here is brilliant. They are amazing, amazing. Lyapa can actually go through each one of them.
And I would.
And don't even start. We might even go to Anne right now, and I'm thinking, no, we're not going to go there.
Wait.
No.
Let's go to Anne.
And Anne is right at the beginning. No, we're not going to do it.
Wait. Okay.
Anne is right at the beginning, you know.
Okay.
Just she
Yes,
talks about
yes,
being
yes.
deliberate.
Mhm.
And it's just amazing, the women in here, amazing. I don't even know. So if you'd like to get yourself a copy, it's only 100 kwacha.
Yes.
Somebody was asking to say where can they get a copy. So you can simply call us on 0955 587373, or you can send us an inbox and we'll arrange for you to buy this copy. It's only 100 kwacha. Like I said, the beauty about this, Lyapa, that whatever you've told me today,
Yes.
you're going to write at the back here.
Oh, yes.
Yes, so now you'll be able
How
to.
did I not see that?
Yeah, so
yet?
now you're going to tell your younger self. And the beauty about this, then you can gift this to somebody 5 years from now. And they'll be able to go through your notes and say, this is what she was actually thinking. And that's the beauty about it. It's the call to action. And now you telling us what you would tell
Yes.
your younger self.
And you know, because this is very valuable to me, and I think I would want to say this in public, you know, I think this is the best thing anyone, and I mean anyone in this life, I think apart from the Bible, anyone can ever do for you. And if God himself were able to write a Bible and tell you, saying, this is your manual, so you don't have to do this life thing on your own.
That's right, yeah.
For me, I look at this little booklet and I'm there, I'm like, this is someone, not one, but 53, including you, because you always put your thoughts in there. This is 53 women literally telling you, saying, look, you're a young woman, you don't have to do this life by yourself. Here I am, I'm not there, but here is my little snippet of life. And whenever you come across this situation, come to me in this little booklet and I'll tell you what to do.
Yeah.
And this is 52 women plus another 52 women.
Plus another 52 coming, and another.
So already we have 104 plus you, 105 plus another note from you, 106 notes. And these are different. And by the way, these are different women from different walks of life. Most of these, you've never heard of them. These are normal women. Of course, some of them might have the big titles that we've come across, but all of them are just normal women. Like you and I, when they go home, they put on a chitenge and a vest, they take off their wigs. This is who they are. And they're telling you these things. So if this is not the very best thing you can ever do for yourself, I don't know what
Oh wow!
is.
Yeah, but thank you so much. Thank you. I think with what you say, the reason we've said, women, different backgrounds, different aspirations, is simply this. Yeah, but I just never want a young woman or a young girl out there to think that the only time they can be celebrated is when they hold a title.
Yes.
And this particular title would either be sitting in a corner office and all those things. I wanted to realize whether she's a model, she's owning a boutique, she can still be celebrated.
Yes.
And she also has thoughts, and those are the things that she's been able
and
to
I think
put in there.
that's something that we need. It's a very thin line. Like for me, I love to celebrate, and let me not say most importantly, I also love that I'm celebrated. I love that. But away from me and whichever name that is out there, they are women, and Vanarina, there are women out there that are doing big, massive things, and we don't even know their names.
Yeah.
So when Vanarina goes out there with her team and they come up with 52 women, some you know, some you don't, I promise you, each one of them is valuable, and they say things. You know what? I can go on.
Okay, no wait.
Let me just.
Yeah, but thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'd like to say thank you for coming to this conversation today. I'm really humbled, and I really appreciate your time. And this has been valuable information and a review beyond a review, really. Just to have that really speaking into your soul, and just for you to just being able to speak into this book, I really appreciate. So thank you so much. So we've come to the end of our conversation, taking a look at the What I Know Now Advice to My Younger Self booklet. And if you'd like to get yourself a copy, please go ahead. You can buy for your niece, you can buy for your sister, you can buy
5
yeah,
for my little girls.
So you can buy for everybody if you are really passionate about deliberate about your growth and really building yourself. This is something to have. 0955587373, or you can just simply send us a note. You can send us an inbox, and we'll be able to organize devices for you. So thank you so much. It's been an amazing conversation, and I'll see you soon and see you next time. Thank you so much. Have a good day, and please be safe and enjoy Easter.